Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is still doing well, and welcome to this early morning, middle of the night bonus upload. Before we jump into it, a couple quick links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman, Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost a cent. Click that like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads that I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment and share the video. Why? Well, because these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. They definitely do matter, and they are appreciated. And with that, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to this early morning or middle of the night bonus upload. Shall we? Today's subscriber's first Dogman encounter. This happened a few years ago when I was 10 years old. I have 3 encounters, and this is the first one. I have family near the L.B.L, and I've visited them for years now. The area that my grandpa lived in was heavily wooded with a long gravel driveway. I was always allowed to play outside, but my grandpa made it very clear to be in the house before sunset. I would play around the house till dusk all the time. At the time, my grandpa had a large German Shepherd mixed with Great Dane named Sergeant. Well, Sergeant was a protective dog who would never leave my side while I was playing. I remember playing in the back of the property, and I was kicking a soccer ball against an old tool shed with Sergeant lying down on a stone walkway. I guess time got away from me, and it was getting dark. As I kicked the ball one last time, I heard a long, drawn-out growl from the right of me. It was Sergeant. His hair was standing on end, looking at the woods. As I looked, I could see the shadow of something moving around in the woods. As it drew closer, I could see its shape. It was down on all fours, staring at Sergeant. At this point, it's almost pitch black outside. I remember Sergeant starting to bark ferociously. I guess this pissed the creature off because it in return growled back at him. The vibration from the growl shaked my ribcage, and the animal took a step out of the tree line and bared its teeth at us. About this time, I heard a loud boom followed by an intense ringing in my ear. My grandpa had shot at this creature. I don't remember if he hit it, but I remember it tearing back into the woods. My grandpa then pulled me back up the walkway to the porch with Sergeant followed behind me. Grandpa was angry with me. He was yelling at me the whole time back to the house. I'd never heard my grandpa yell, and I started to cry. As we entered the house, my grandma looked like she had seen a ghost, and I was sent upstairs to go to sleep. I awoke in the middle of the night to Grandma and Grandpa talking about what happened. Grandpa said I never thought it would get this close to the house. I think I hit it this time, I'm not sure. Grandma then intervened, saying, "You better hope you didn't hit it. Don't you remember what happened last time you shot at it? What it did to Daisy?" Daisy was an old dog they had owned a few years ago. I was always told that she had just run away from home. I picked up the pieces pretty quick that thing had butchered Daisy and left a pile of what used to be her around the house. Well, the argument started to die down between them, and about 20 minutes later, they started to get silent and everybody went back to rest. I went back to my bedroom and tried to sleep. What I think was 2 hours of sleeping, my body was flung awake to Sergeant barking at the window. and about 35 yards up the hill, looking directly at me, was the creature. It had yellowish amber eyes. The pupils looked blank of compassion, only full of evil, and they were fixed on me. I couldn't move, I couldn't speak, I couldn't even breathe. Then, all of a sudden, I screamed. As soon as I did this, the creature stood up on its back legs and ran further up the hill, dipping behind the ridge. My grandpa came running up the stairs with his deer rifle and flung into the room. I told him that it was back and asked him what that thing was. He said it was a bear. I could tell he was lying because he was in a cold sweat and on the verge of crying. He told me not to be scared in a shaky voice and told me to go to sleep with my grandma. I awoke to the smell of bacon and eggs in the morning. Grandpa was sleeping heavily in the living room chair with his rifle on his lap, looking at the door. I wasn't allowed outside for the rest of my stay, and the last 2 days of my stay were uneventful. I gave my grandpa and grandma a big hug, and my parents picked me up and I went back home. It brings a lot of emotions back up that I tried to hide away, but the story about the L.B.L. brought my emotions back to light. I'm literally shaking telling you this story right now. My grandpa has since passed, but my grandma is still living up at the house, and Sergeant has since passed as well. He lived to be about 15, so the old boy lived a long, healthy life. I now know why my grandpa was always so strict on the woods. I've since been told his story. If you want to hear, let me know. Thanks, Jeff. It feels good to get that off my chest. My best friends don't even know about this story. Only my close family knows. The other 2 stories are when I was 16 and 18. I'm now 24, by the way. Our subscriber's second Dogman encounter. This happened on L.B.L. At the time, I was staying with my grandparents for about a month. During this time, I agreed to a camping trip on the L.B.L. The L.B.L. is a beautiful place. The lakes are so peaceful, the trails are always nice, and the nature helps clear your mind. My girlfriend at the time owned a camper. For the sake of keeping her name private, we'll just call her Jessica. I'm an avid outdoorsman. I love nature. I have a deep respect for nature. And I always will be in the woods. Jessica, on the other hand, doesn't like the woods. She loved spending time with me. The first day was uneventful. We hiked for a little bit, then went to the lakes and went back to the camper. The second day, Jessica and I went for a hike for longer than we expected. We ended up back at the camper with a few hours of daylight. We sat in the camper for a little bit to gain a little energy. Jessica said she wanted to see the stars at night. Me being tired from all the hiking, I reluctantly agreed. We exited the camper to the moonlight night and proceeded to start the almost 20-minute walk to the lakes. About 15 minutes into the walk, I noticed how silent it truthfully was. The normal sounds were absent. No crickets, no owls, not even a wind blowing. I didn't pay much attention to it. Me being a 16-year-old boy at the time, I was focused only on one thing. We made it to the lake and had to walk down the shore a little ways. I then lay out the blanket. After an hour of watching the stars, things started to heat up a little. I then noticed the woods and the lake were absolutely silent. Usually when the woods go silent like that, a predator is usually nearby. That's not all the time true, but it's a great indicator. I started to get this overwhelming feeling of being watched, and all of a sudden that primal fear I felt at Grandpa's house came flooding back. Just about this time, Jessica pointed to the tree line and said, "I swear I just saw something big move behind that tree." I instantly jumped up and grabbed her hand and told her we need to leave right now. She was confused and wanted answers. I knew what that thing in the woods was. I proceeded to grab her hand and pull her towards the trail. We got onto the trail only for my worst fear to be confirmed. I looked back to the meadow to see this thing low to the ground, slowly crawling towards us. I then told Jessica we need to move faster and kept looking back to see where it had gone. About 2 minutes into the trail, I looked back to see the creature getting onto the trail. I looked at Jessica and told her not to look back down the trail and keep looking forward. As soon as I finished this statement, she did exactly what I told her not to do. She saw it. She became frozen in fear. I had to pull her forward to try to keep her going. The creature at that time was about 100 yards down the trail. When Jessica snapped out of her fear, she started to cry profusely. I tried to get her to go forward. In that 5-second window, I lost track of it. All of the senses kicked in overdrive, trying to hear or see where this thing had gone. Eventually, Jessica started moving again. We made good time, maybe 5-10 minutes left on the trail. My senses were all in, time high, still trying to see if that creature was still following us. I suddenly got hit by the smell of rotten meat and dog piss adjacent to me. My heart sank when I saw its shadow maybe 15 yards off the trail. I told Jessica to move faster, and she stood still demanding answers, so I yelled at her to move faster. This shocked the creature's ears, twitched like a dog's would. The creature sat there for a little bit, then all hell broke loose. The creature stepped back onto the trail, and Jessica locked eyes with it. She froze in fear again for about 2 seconds. Jessica was standing there, frozen in fear, and suddenly she screamed. This creature then stood up on its back legs in its full height and roared at us. The sheer size of the creature is out of this world. The path was easily 5 feet wide where it stood, and when I was 16, I was 6'1". I thought I was tall. This thing was easily 3 feet taller than me. I grabbed Jessica by the hand and ran as fast as we could up the trail. I felt tears streaming down my face. I started seeing my life flash before my eyes. I thought to myself, I will never get to see my family again. Will they ever know what happened to me? About this time, I snapped back to me running. I looked up the trail and saw the trailhead. I heard this thing chasing after us. It sounded like an 18-wheeler in the forest, with full head of steam. We burst into the clearing with Jessica hot on my heels. My lungs felt like I was breathing lava. I didn't hear it running after us when we got halfway through the clearing. We didn't stop. We kept running till we got to the camper. I slammed the door behind both of us. We were crying profusely. We sat there in silence for what felt like hours. Then Jessica broke the silence by saying, "What the hell was that thing?" in between sobs and breathing. I knew exactly what it was. I told her I didn't know. I cuddled her, trying to calm her down for 30 minutes of cuddling, and then she fell asleep. I tried to stay awake all night, but I fell asleep with a knife in my hand. I awoke to heavy footsteps on the gravel. My heart skipped a beat, and I heard whatever it was, a large sniff, and walk a few laps around the camper, then leave. I soon fell asleep again. I awoke to the sounds of birds chirping. I sat there for a few minutes and heard nothing else. I exited the camper and instantly got hit with the strongest smell of really old dog piss, but 50 times stronger, with bleach in it. I heard Jessica start to stir in the camper. I walked back into the camper and gave her a kiss and told her not to talk about what happened to anybody. We gained our composure and left early that morning. Jessica and I are still close. She's one of my best friends now. I talk to her almost every day. That happened almost 10 years ago, and we've only talked about it 2 times. She flat out refuses to talk about it to this day. I tried to ask her a few days ago about what had happened and get some details from her and her side of the story. She shot me down within seconds. Our subscriber's third and final Dogman encounter. As you know, I've always loved the outdoors. I was always in the woods since I was 6. I enjoyed hunting, fishing, and hiking. This encounter happened when I was 18, and as you know, my grandfather owned a large chunk of property. We worked hard to keep the property healthy year-round. I remember learning about this buck, which was a good-sized boy at the time, a 12-pointer with a beautiful spread. I studied his scrape lines and his morning routine. The day finally came, opening morning of rifle season. I got up around 4:30 in the morning, eager to get to my stand. I hit the woods in full stride, getting to my stand, hoping I could intercept the big buck on his way to his bed. The crack of dawn started to come through the trees. The birds were well and alive. The forest was active with the normal sounds until about 7. The woods went dead silent around 8. A few minutes went by and I heard the crunching of leaves on top of the ridge. Watching the scrape lines the deer left, my heart started beating fast, thinking I was going to bag his monster buck. I soon realized that it wasn't a deer walking towards my stand. The animal sounded too heavy to be a deer. I got an uneasy feeling, followed by that deep sense of dread and danger. I soon smelled that same smell I did a few years ago, and I started to panic. I felt my heart beating faster and faster. I realized I had my .270 on me with a few spare rounds in my pocket. I got a sense of confidence. The creature got halfway down the valley, maybe 60 yards or so away from me. I didn't make a sound. I went stiff as a board, hoping the creature wouldn't see me. It got right in front of my stand, and this creature turned and instantly locked eyes on me. I panicked. I pulled my rifle up and looked down the sight, and the creature growled at me. The vibrations were strong enough for me to feel it right through the metal stand. I loaded a shot, and the creature's growling even got louder. My mind told me not to shoot at it. It wouldn't help if I pissed it off even more. I lowered my rifle, and the creature started to pace around the base of the tree where my stand was. After a few laps, the creature kept going down the pathway. I stayed in my stand for what felt like hours. I knew the creature wasn't gone. I still had that feeling of being watched. Eventually, it subsided and the woods went back to life. I eventually made my way back down that stand, and I didn't hunt for the rest of that season. Looking back on it, I have zero idea how that creature saw me or even knew I was there. I sprayed my scent removal kit before I entered the woods. I was wearing my camo, and I had the top of my stand covered with a blind. I felt powerless, even with my rifle. It knew what rifles were. I don't know how, but it definitely did. I'm still a little hesitant to enter those woods. I've never returned to the back part of that property. I only hunt the front side now.
And there you have it, folks. I hope you all enjoyed this early morning, middle of the night bonus as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. After all, it is your support that helps the channel to continue to grow and go, and what gives us all a place and a chance to share our experiences and theories judgment-free. Everyone is simply treated with the respect that we deserve. Please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and our friends. These creatures are real. These events, they've happened. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless you all.